Hey, I'm Samuel, and welcome to my abstract painting demo series. In this series, I wanted to try something new with some brighter colors. I recently took a course on color theory, and I learned about how secondary colors can work really well together, so I wanted to try that in this piece. I'm just using my regular sketchbook. The previous sketchbook I used in my last video was a bit light. So here I'm using the Strathmore mixed media sketchbook, which has a little bit more thicker pages. And I think it works really well. It holds the acrylic paint and it dries really quickly. So I'm happy with the way it turns out. Plus I can be a bit more firm when I use the spatula to glide across the surface of the book. So this piece was a pretty interesting one. I tried to make sure the orange didn't go all over the page, leaving some empty spaces for the whites to have some room to allow the piece to breathe. And then I wanted the greens to really be the highest contrast of the piece overall. So while you watch this video, I want to talk about what it's like to try something new. Sometimes new things can be scary. It can feel like uncomfortable because we don't know how it's going to turn out. We don't know if we can have the same confidence like we have when we are doing something that we've done before. But that's the whole point of trying something new. You don't know how it's going to turn out. You kind of have to be willing to experiment and know that even if it doesn't turn out exactly how you wanted it to, you still learn something in the process. And I think the learning and who you become through the process of experimenting and trying something new is more important than you coming up with something that is amazing, which will in most cases be a fluke because you're trying something for the first time. You cannot base your confidence on the fact that it worked out well. And throughout our lives, we're going to run into moments like that where we're going to be faced with choices to do something differently than we've done in the past. The decisions we have to make that will be radical and that will totally shift our perspective, shift the way we see life. And one of those decisions that I personally made was choosing to actually take my faith to a deeper level. I remember growing up as someone that didn't really believe that faith was something critical for life. It was kind of just doing what your parents are doing, and I just naturally drifted away from anything like that. But as I grew older, I got to realize that there has to be more about life, and there just has to be something deeper, you know? Try different things, but nothing really quite answered that question, that void that we all feel in our hearts. And it was that moment when I was like, maybe these things I heard about faith and putting your trust in God and believing in Jesus, maybe these things are actually real. So I actually went back in time in my mind and I started to follow those things that I heard when I was growing up about believing in God and actually studying the Bible, and all of those things started to make sense to me. And it was really interesting because it felt like I was doing something new that felt uncomfortable. But eventually, I realized that it all made sense and that God had been trying to reach me all my life. So, thanks for watching my video. I hope you join me on the next one.